I'm Carson White, and this is my signature assignment. And so the topic that I've chosen is about tribalism and xenophobia and how these are a big problem in the modern society that we live in. So in 2022, there's a lot of division in amongst people and their beliefs, values, morals, and goals. You can often wonder why there's so much conflict in the world, and why does it always seem like there is an extreme right and an extreme left in most cases. This conflict and can occur almost anywhere, and it can even occur in political parties, sports teams, favorite to least favorite brands, religions, cultures, and even lifestyles. We all have had some conflict, one or another, of these categories in our lives, and it can frustrate us when someone else sees things differently than us. We can even become emotional defending our views to prove why ours is best, or, why theirs is not the best. We are all guilty of it, and we all pick sides and can even almost always find people who will back us up in what we believe, and those of the opposing can always find people who back up their beliefs. So why do we do this? Why do we naturally seek out others like us? Why do we thrive to connect with others and use phrases such as them versus us? We even take the audacity to find a sports team and say phrases like, "Oh, we totally beat them last night," even though we had no actual affiliation with, playing the game and beating the game. So we can find diehard fans that are willing to throw hands with someone who disses and talks trash about their team in a crazy rage. We have people who will follow a political side so closely that they won't even be able to talk to someone of the opposing party, and can think that everyone on the opposing side is a complete moron. We have people within religions who will tell their children not to be friends with people of different faith, and not to date or marry anyone who does not believe in the same things you do, or to not associate with anyone outside of your group. So, why do we do this? With a bunch of archaeological findings, we were able to find that in ancient times, human beings lived in small groups called bands. They worked together to gather resources like food, water, and to build shelters, and to claim territory and to gather riches. Humans would have their own cultures and traditions in their bands, and some even had their own dialects of languages that they spoke. They even they really needed each other to survive and work together to maintain their population of people. Whenever there would be competition for these resources, from a different tribe or a different band or group, it would cause a lot of tension because neither side could have enough resources to sustain each side. And so since they were different, they could have definitely spoke different languages, look different, act different, wear different clothes, have different beliefs. They probably didn't get along super, super well. And so a lot of those disputes ended up in fights. And so once they were able to settle them, either one would move away, or one would win, and uh, and so it became very apparent that when you stuck with the people that you were with, you were able to survive. You were able to keep, you were able to bond together closer, and you're able to work together better. And so it was very hard when there were people that were different, who spoke different languages, looked different, to work well with them. And so it was a lot times easier to just fight them. And so, uh, and so people, would tend to associate themselves with people similar to themselves, and for protection and security within themselves. Um, so in modern times, we can even look at how Pakistan and India, settled things. And so once they were, living together, and they were completely split apart, and there was since they become so split and everything, between the two separate, you know, religions, there was a split nation theory which was presented by Syed Ahmad Khan. He stated that Muslims and Hindu were too different to be in one country, so they split and became different nations over religion. So a nation that once was mingled with the two became two separate cultures, beliefs, and an entirely different, country. Cultural anthropology can help us understand that with the variations between cultures between India and Pakistan, the Muslims and the Hindus, with their very strong religious backed beliefs, it was, they're very different and it caused division and hostility amongst them. And so it was just better for them to draw lines, move to different places, and live with people who believed in the same things as them. And so there can be a lot of implications when cultures are mixed with each other. Archaeology anthropology can help us find and help us, further understand, some of these, when people don't mix, kind of those issues that can happen. Uh, that, through the archaeology, they're able to find, different languages from scribes or clothing or religion with these artifacts. And it can help us understand the cultures of the past. And so a big strong point where this comes in is with like the Holy Lands. Yeah, you had the Crusades and everything, and there was you have a three-way lovers triangle fight with, the Muslims, the Jews, and the Christians. And, they fought over the Holy Lands, that, those lands were very important to them. And still to this day, there's still a lot of hostility and conflict between the three religions. Um, all that have tried claiming it and, claiming it for their own and, claiming that they're the true right religion. And so another part where we can see division in people is with race. And when we think of race, we can also often think of, like people like to think of it's racism is a white on black thing or a white on minority thing. When in reality, racism is more than just a one-way street. It's like an 18-way street. You can have white on black, black on white, black on Hispanic, white on Hispanic, black on Polynesian. It doesn't really matter. We come up with, standards of what we consider people to be and what not to be. And so, you know, we can tend to judge people and treat them differently just for their race. And so, a prime example using cultural anthropology and a little bit of forensic anthropology to understand, kind of how when races are forced, to live in close quarters, would be prison. So in prison, you'll quickly notice that ethnicities stick together, with their own special ethnicity in the dangerous halls of prison. There will be a white table, a black table, a Polynesian table, or a Hispanic table, um, and like that natural instinct, we like to stick with people of our kind for security and protection, just like our deeply rooted instincts to cling to those who are like us. Uh, that really comes out in prison. Uh, And so inmates face a huge amount of racial tension every day in prison, living in such close proximity to others of different backgrounds and cultures. And the fact that these people, whatever their race or ethnicity, are likely from the least educated and most violent segments of society, which can make a pretty significant, change to, how those cultures mingle with each other. So, for instance, a black inmate attacks a white inmate in prison, it is considered the responsibility of other white inmates to respond. This provides some measure of protection for those inmates who are not members of a clique or a gang or a group, that stick with each other. And, sometimes just being stuck with each other's race, where they're able to build a bond and a connection, can be sometimes the glue that holds, that gang or group or whatever together. And so we can even see division amongst, different cultures in big cities. And so San Francisco is a pretty clearly defined example where those districts of, different cultures and ethnicity thrive. And so when San Francisco was settled, they had a bunch of immigrants from all over the place that went to go move into the city. And they had land and a lot of openness then. So the Italians could stick in one place, the Chinese could stick in one place, Jews could stick in one place. So everybody could kind of find their place in the city. And it's pretty interesting that they naturally stuck with each other. They wanted to live in places where they were able to stick with their same religions, cultures, looks, food, art style, everything. Um, and so a great amount of, some of that, like xenophobia that we can have, that fear of different cultures or different, ethnicities, that change, it can be kind of a scary thing because it can be harder to connect with someone who speaks a different language than us or who likes different things than us, believes in different things than us. It can be really hard. And it a lot of those issues can still come back to from like the civil rights movements. That just happened in the 60s, so that's not a very large amount of time when that happened. And so maybe someday when we're able to, take a ton of work on everyone's part to kind of overcome some of these issues. But it's also important to know that that division is kind of a natural human instinct we have to survive, to find people, to bond close, to form strong connections. And we can become very opinionated of, different things, new things that we don't like. Um, because we like to live around and be with people like ourselves, and it can be challenging to accept and open ourselves up to new things. And sometimes the whole world just isn't ready for that yet. So hope you enjoyed my video. Just you know, as I could do. So yeah.